Hello, and again welcome to the Aperture Science Intelligence Dampening Research Center. Here, our test subjects range from the misanthropic, the indifferent, the overzealous, and of course, the just plain stupid. Today's test subject, on the other hand, is considered a well-informed individual, but tends to have stupid ideas. Today, we're testing the results of a new Aperture product called Haterade. This deceptive beverage functions the same way as the legendary love potion, but in reverse. It was part of an initiative to see how well test subjects could maintain objective truth towards objects of their hatred without the temptation to mix in misinformation to their perception. The results were highly informative. They could not. We've administered a generous dosage of Haterade to test subject 021131, also known as the Kavernacle, while exposing him to test subject 130225, also known as mrbeast's content for a while. The Kavernacle recently posted a few videos talking about mrbeast, so let's see how well the Haterade has done its job.
31st of July 2020, I made a video called Why mrbeast content is Gross and Exploitative. Now, you guys might have seen that video.
I have not. Perhaps you'd want to inform me on why I should care.
And why I'm bringing it up is to point out that I've been criticizing mrbeast for a lot longer than most people. And I do joke about it, but I basically say that I'm the original mrbeast hater. I'm the president of the I Hate mrbeast Club.
Which means we can definitely count on you for absolutely unbiased criticism.
Sarcasm self-test complete.
Oh, feel free to ignore that. I just wanted to make sure that was working before we resumed, because I have a feeling I will be using it a lot. Please continue.
As I've always said, based on his trajectory on YouTube, I don't genuinely believe mrbeast often does things just because he's a nice guy.
You are correct. He does things on YouTube because he's, first and foremost, an entertainer.
I'm sure he's nice in some ways, but at the same time, it feels very obvious to me and to a lot of people that he's building his brand and he's building his massive following. He's now the biggest YouTuber on the entire platform by doing supposed good things.
I'd like to inform the viewers, as a disclaimer, that mrbeast is not a charity channel, and he's never designated his entire channel to charity. His primary intention is to make videos people will enjoy watching. Allegedly, his channel is supposed to have something for everyone, and logically, in the vast world we live in with billions of people who each have their own individual tastes, he's not going to hit the mark every time. But you're not here for my fair judgments. You're here to listen to some biased and non-constructive criticism made by a blue checkmark.
In my opinion, he said something I've believed for a long time. He does a lot of this because he wants to be liked.
Imagine that. A human who wants to be liked. Perish the thought. I thought those were a myth.
It's no wonder his idol is Elon Musk.
Sorry, but that's wrong. mrbeast's actual idol is Subject 061159, also known as PewDiePie.
Just because especially some leftist people don't like him, he's crying about it on Twitter. And who does that remind you of? It reminds you of Elon Musk, who did a massive right-wing turn once left-wing people started being more vocal against him.
Oh, another wrong assertion. Elon Musk, despite his conflict of interest, push on energy-efficient cars, has always personally leaned more towards right-wing ideology, practices, and policies. Mostly because it makes him money. In fact, in the recent decade, he's lobbied towards more right-wing politicians, which you'd already know if you looked at his history and actually read something other than Twitter posts.
And even on my YouTube channel, like, I was criticizing Elon Musk like years ago. Jordan Peterson I was criticizing back in 2018.
And rightly so. One of those exploited people for monetary gain and didn't care who he stepped on to get to where he is today. The other one is a misanthrope who just wants people other than himself to suffer because he believes it's character building. Feel free to connect the lines at your leisure. So now that the test subject has properly introduced, or rather, introduced himself, Guess which personality core came up with that one? Let's examine his response to MrBeast's actual video.
So I've watched a lot of MrBeast videos and I've reviewed a lot of them on my channel. And like I said, I don't think this one is the worst, but I do find this thumbnail very weird.
This I'm willing to agree with you on. It looks like the cover of a Goosebumps book.
My initial reaction upon actually watching it was, it's just like typical MrBeast. Like, I have seen a lot worse from him. And I guess a lot of people's immediate reaction is kind of like, it sucks that a YouTuber has to do this because these people cannot get their eyesight cured on like the system or for one reason or another.
That is correct. This is what more rational people are upset about regarding this video. The fact that in this country, a simple eye surgery exceeds the cost of an actual eye. It's weird that people are more upset at him than the system, which makes social justice warriors like the Kavernacle such useful idiots while the system itself is drawing less aggro, and all the flack is falling on MrBeast instead. I guess I shouldn't be too hard on the social justice warriors though. Their scapegoating is the reason Aperture Laboratories is still in business.
And I guess like a lot of MrBeast videos, it's very much centered on him.
Gee, I can't imagine why. Maybe it's because it's his channel and he's an entertainer?
But it feels like a pretty privileged position to throw around so much money to these issues while not actually discussing with people how they can actually fix them.
Well, it's a good thing this tweet doesn't exist. Don't look at the screen. The Kavernacle would very much appreciate it if you don't look at the screen.
So I think this is the tweet that kind of set off the chain reaction. So Low Overruled wrote, "There is something so demonic about this, and I can't even articulate what it is."
Oh, well, I guess that's it then. MrBeast should be cancelled because Lolo said that he's demonic and can't explain why. He hates something but can't explain it. Which pretty much sums up over 90% of moral panics, if you ask me. People are just upset because they want to be upset at something. Any excuse to claim moral high ground. Outrage culture in a nutshell.
Hasan, who hasn't really criticized MrBeast significantly.
You can tell how deep the bias goes when he turns attention to a very rational public figure, stating he hasn't criticized MrBeast enough for my liking. Which brings me back to my earlier point, that more needs to be said against the system, rather than a content creator who has no power to change it. I did mention this in one of the vegan teacher videos.
Because a lot of people have tunnel vision, they really couldn't see why they would criticize MrBeast's content in the first place.
How ironic you'd be the person to accuse people of having tunnel vision. While it's easy to look at this content and cry exploitation, a more thorough background check would suggest it's not, based on how MrBeast makes his videos versus what actually happens, both in the background and how he works in his own spare time.
I've always agreed that doing good deeds in private is far more genuine and authentic than doing good deeds for the sake of public brownie points or reputational benefits. And the thing with MrBeast is, he does do a lot of great shit for his community in private. So when he does do these public displays of doing good things, I never get the impression that it's inauthentic or coming from a place of trying to, capitalize on the back of suffering or anything like that.
It's undeniable that he does carry a high degree of privilege and influence, and there's no evidence to show malicious intent to lord anything over people. Especially when you look at the definition of exploitation. There's no evidence of that either. Unless you yourself want to qualify poor people as a resource, in which case, wow, that's quite sad. The reason why I consider this to be destructive criticism is because people like this never offer any solutions or even try to brainstorm ideas to form solutions. They only wish to complain. Other YouTubers like Moist Critical summed it up nicely.
Because I feel like the only people that are going super hard on this, making a big hoot and holler, calling it demonic, are people who are terminally online, like a Twitter prisoner, their soul trapped on the platform, forced to tweet 50,000 tweets a year, and pretty much find every possible thing to be upset about.
I'd like to express my gratitude to the Kavernacle for helping us test Aperture Science's new Haterade, coming to a store near you, so that you too can become a whiny social justice warrior. I look forward to seeing you all again for another round of tests. Goodbye.